everybody, welcome to today's show. I'm Eric Mitchell, and it is Tuesday, April 21st. Yes, I tell you the date every day. It's just to help me know what day it is, because I swear it's Groundhog Day every single day. We have a great show for you today, so I want to jump right into the news. It's it's been a busy. I think every day is a busy news feed. We jump right in here just to start talking about the news. We talked about it yesterday. The Paycheck Protection Program that was, put out there to infuse small businesses, which typically have that less access to quick cash and credit. There was $349 billion in emergency loans were to go out. It turns out at least 75 companies that received aid are publicly traded. This comes from an AP report in an investigation that came out this morning. Some had market values well over $100 million, and 25% of the companies had warned investors months ago why the economy was humming and doing well, that the ability to remain viable was kind of in question. So that's crazy, right? We're talking about this again. I know people talked about Shake Shack doing it. Interesting side note on the Shake Shack side of this. When you look at it, Shake Shack returned the money Monday morning, as we saw. But the funny thing is that money doesn't go back into the kitty for people to use right now. So the $10 million actually is now waiting for what we're hearing from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said this morning that he believes that Republicans and Democrats have agreed upon a fourth coronavirus spending bill, and that the Trump administration has also agreed to, a national testing strategy, which are all things that are important for everything back, get the economy going, get us back to work, so forth and so on. Also this morning, the historic sell-off of the price of oil continues in the wake of the supply wave that has hit the world awash with crude oil for the first time ever. Remember when we couldn't get it? Now there's too much of it, and it is causing literally it to be in the negative, which was the first time I've ever seen crude oil go negative in my entire life. I was like, how is that even possible? Also, late last night, and you probably heard about it this morning, President Trump announced via Twitter that he's going to be taking another step to try to protect the slow the spread of the spread of the coronavirus, saying in his tweet that an executive order to temporarily suspend immigration into the United States. Good or bad, would love your feelings. Drop them into the comments, and we would love to hear what your thoughts are on this. I would love to hear if you guys agree, disagree. Should we shut the borders down? Funny how everybody wants to do this now, but just a year ago, the borders were that taboo topic that you weren't supposed to talk about. Also, interesting news, whether you love him or hate him, I'm a Yankee fan, so I kind of right in the middle here, but former Major League Baseball player and admitted steroid user, sorry, A-Rod, got to admit what you are, A-Rod and his beautiful fiancee, J-Lo, or Jennifer Lopez, have showed interest in buying the New York Mets. Well, I guess we need to try to make another team in New York good. I know the Knicks have dropped the ball. The Nets keep trying. The Jets are the Jets. They're still talking about that one Super Bowl. So it's good to see that they're trying to bring their team out there. I guess it's good to actually have a baseball owner own a baseball team. And you got to love it. As we're talking about baseball, just another reason why you got to love the man. The number two will always forever live in our hearts. The great Derek Jeter, the captain, the great one, now the president and general manager of the Florida Marlins, said in a memo to the team this morning that he is giving up his $5 million salary for indefinitely to make sure that the employees in the organization are taken care of. Stand-up guy. Hands down, if you ever hated Derek Jeter, how can you hate the guy now, right? I mean, number one, he beat you on the baseball field. He's got more rings than most people have ex-wives. And good God, the guy's just a gentleman on and off the field. Look what the man did. And speaking of baseball, good old baseball. We miss baseball. We miss it a lot. We're supposed to be in it right now. We're supposed to be throwing things at the Houston Astros and booing them. But the Major League Baseball season was originally scheduled to begin March 26th. And while the league has been talking on and off again of this kind of different plan to live in, a biodome with, Pauly Shore running around and one of the Baldwin boys, so far we haven't seen that come out in any further talks. And the commissioner, Robert Manfred, said that he would restart the season once it's cleared by public health officials. And in fact, his exact quote when asked was that the only decision that they have made is the real plan that they have is that baseball is not going to happen or even start up until they have a device health plan in place. So that means still no baseball. Crazy, right? I can't believe we've gone this long with sports. I remember when we first did it, it was like 2 weeks in, and I was like, okay, maybe we can deal with it. And now it's just torture, absolute torture to go without baseball. So, let's talk about that for a minute. We've gone without sports. I think the highlight to everything was watching this Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. Everybody's been talking about it. I was following this great podcast by two former NBA basketball players, Rasheed Wallace and Bonzi Wells. Both played for the Portland Trailblazers and then continued their career out there. Rasheed Wallace played for the Pistons also. Two phenomenal athletes. And they were talking about how this documentary really showed the two sides of everything in sports. And you have to think about it that way. We have multiple different ways that we look at it. We look at it from a player's perspective and how they're treated. You saw on there, yes, at the end of the day, yes, true statement, end of the day, Scottie Pippen has millions of dollars in the bank. But at the time, he was the 22nd paid player in the NBA. That's nuts. It's bananas to be basically the Robin to Batman and to get very little compensation. In fact, he admitted that he enjoyed his summer and didn't have his surgery till the preseason started because, well, he wasn't getting paid what he thought. Whether you like that or don't like that, these guys are athletes. This is their job, and they're very good. Especially when you think of Scottie Pippen, the man went from general manager or equipment manager at Central Arkansas to an NBA Hall of Famer with, I believe, six rings. That's a lot of rings. So again, hard to say that this guy isn't doing his job and being an all-star. These guys deserve to be paid. And it's crazy. But I do want to talk about some of our guests coming up today as we're going to be getting to the point here shortly. We sit here and you have the amazing Frank Morano coming on. I love Frank. Frank is the producer. He's the host of several radio shows in the tri-state area. He is the producer and co-host along with the great Joe Piscopo. You can catch that on 970 The Answer and nationwide. Check out the links. Go look up Joe Piscopo Show and you can find it there. And also you've seen him on Liquid Lunch with our friends with John Tabasco over there at Liquid Lunch. If you don't catch that show, it also is streaming live on Facebook for right now. Thanks to the coronavirus, you can catch them noon Eastern here on Facebook. Just put in Liquid Lunch. We also have Betty Campbell here to talk about nonprofits and what nonprofits can do during this interesting time where budgets are stretched thin, but we still need to help nonprofits that are out there. She's going to talk about what she's doing to help nonprofits. We have Michael Valor in. Mike works with just simply the who's who of influencers online, on Instagram, you name it, he's working with them. So he's going to talk about what they've been doing to step up their game. Obviously, there's some good money in working in that, and that's what they're doing. So check that out. Make sure you go follow Mike before he comes on. And then finally, we're doing a cooking episode. Good friend, Chef Clemenza, is coming on the show. You might, if you're a fan of Hell's Kitchen with the psychopath Gordon Ramsay, you're probably familiar with the name Chef Clemens. He was on season 10 of Hell's Kitchen with the crazy Chef Ramsay. So he'll be on. We're going to cook a meal. I believe the meal we're having is a nice seared ahi tuna with rice. He's going to make that on the show just to change it up again. We're probably all sick of chicken and pork and all the things that we're stuck in our house eating. Or if you've been Grubhubbing it, you've probably been doing that. So, hey, go check that out. So we're excited about having a cooking segment on our show. And we're going to try to carry this on, every week, at least have one guest on to cook or talk about the restaurant industry. We've got to support our restaurants. So locally, make sure you're out doing that. Here's my little PSA. Make sure you're supporting the small local businesses that are out there in your neighborhood. Give them a call, see how they're doing. A lot of them are selling groceries. They're doing what they can, and you got to give those folks, they're grinding really, really hard in a very tough time. And as we've heard, the big boys are taking away from a lot of their money. You've got Shake Shack, you've got Potbelly. Potbelly actually defended their actions today and said, well, we're taking care of our employees. It's a little interesting when you have, $100 million in the bank. You need to take care of your employees with extra money when you purposely did it to starve off people. So that's what we're dealing with there. If you have any questions, go ahead and send them across. We're going to be jumping into our first guest when he arrives. So we're just waiting on the great Frank Marino to join us. And once he does, we will be able to hop right in. I was just making sure everybody's running on time. But yeah, what do you guys think of that news? Number one, hearing this investigation from the AP is very interesting to me. When you look at the fact that these businesses over 75, and they're naming names, they're naming and shaming, and they should. These businesses, to have over 25% of these companies warn their investors this is happening. They didn't prepare for this. They had the opportunity. They were enjoying a booming economy. It's not like the coronavirus just popped up like, hey, I'm here in March. We knew about it. We saw it coming. It was talked about in January. So these businesses, they're just starving amazing small businesses so they can survive. So I'm encouraging people just not to go support those folks. So I would tell you to do the same thing. But it is good to see the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer come forward and say that both the Democrats and the Republicans have come to an agreement on getting another round, a fourth stimulus package out. Hopefully it has some rules that are flexible for small businesses and really restrictive for the big brands. I would like to see that. It's important to me to help other small businesses. We work with small businesses when we're not doing TV, so it is key. We just want people to be able to do that. Actually talking to clients today about that, like, hey, we're ready to go, but we need our small business loan to go through. So we have that. So we're just now we're going to do what we call in the business stretching, and we're going to wait because we don't know where our guest is. This is awesome. I have another guest. So Betty, if you nod your head, if you can hear me and you're ready to go, we'll jump you up forward so we can bring on our next guest. Are you ready? Give me the thumbs up if you're watching and you can see me in the green room with that. There you go. We're going to bring Betty on. So we're going to jump the shark here and bring my good friend Betty Campbell on. So without further ado, my next guest runs the great nonprofit Expose Hope. I'm gonna let her explain to you what her organization does and how you can help other nonprofits in your community, because we need to support these nonprofits. These organizations already have a tough enough time when the economy is booming, but now when we're stuck in our homes, it's really difficult to be able to go out and support, and we have to support these nonprofits. They are doing an amazing job serving our community, and we need to take care of them. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to you my good friend, Betty Campbell. Betty, welcome to the show.
So nice to be here. Thank you.
You hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Am I on mute?
Woohoo! We are killing it with audio today.
Can you hear me? My audio should be working. I don't know what's going on.
We'll do this and this. Hey, this is
There. You've unmuted me. Does that help? No.
I don't have any audio right now. This is even better. This is better than yesterday's technical difficulties where my camera turned off. This is great. We love technology. Betty, if you want, you could probably log off and come back on and see if that did it. I don't know. Technology doesn't love us at all times. I'm not Michael Valor. Wow, Mike, you aged a lot. You became me. So anyways, we'll now come back to me. Hi, we're back. Technical difficulties. This is what live streaming is so blessed about. So we'll just continue on one of my random rants. What do you guys want to talk about? Send me a comment and I'll tell, and we can discuss. Anybody got anything out there? Oh, you can hear both of us. Well, I can't, which is a small problem that I can't hear my guests. Let me try one thing while we're sitting here. It might be on my end. I might be the problem, which wouldn't be the first time I was the. But anyways, okay. Betty, call back in and we'll get you going. I don't know what's going on. Technology's not liking me today. We will try this again. Here we go. Betty, we're going to bring you back on and see how this is. People say that it's me, not you. So we won't judge.
Well, that's great to know.
hear you, so I don't know what's going on. You start talking, so if you can hear me, I'm gonna ask you a question, then I'm gonna dip off and do some audio checks. So here's my thing. Tell everybody about what exactly Expose Hope is and what you're doing for your local community and how people, if they're local or even nationwide, can help out. Kind of fill everybody in on what you're doing, because I think you just are amazing. That's why I wanted you on, and I want everybody to hear about what you're doing. So share with the class or the world what you do.
Hi, I'm Betty Campbell, and I'm the Executive Director and founder of Expose Hope. We are an outreach to the adult entertainment community, which is one of the lower ends of society as far as money, services provided, the way that the community looks at them. We help trafficked women and men leave the life, and we help them to transition into new lives, provide them services. We are in Portland, the Portland metro area in Oregon, Vancouver, Bend, but we are also in Montana and Florida. And we hope to expand further. Currently, our needs are that most nonprofits, I don't know if you know, but America has 1.3 million charitable nonprofits, and they are the fabric that protects society. There's so much that would be left behind if nonprofits didn't exist. We feed, we heal, we shelter, we provide cures, we nurture, we provide services, and we help everyone of every socioeconomic status, every state, every age, every race. The largest segment of nonprofits is human services. And although most people think nonprofits are all big dollar nonprofits, most nonprofits are very small, especially survivor-led nonprofits like mine. People who were homeless, so they're doing a homeless ministry. People who were in the life, so they're doing a ministry to the life. So it's very important that we remember they're not all paid staff. In fact, we have no paid staff right now, which has actually hurt us in getting funding. So spring is the time when most fundraisers are done. That's the best time to fundraise for a nonprofit. And of course, most nonprofits lost their spring fundraisers, and we're required to go down to basically a zero amount before the fundraiser. So most nonprofits right now are running on an absolute shoestring. There are people who volunteer doing the donations. Most nonprofits did not qualify for a lot of the grants. In fact, in my home city, nonprofits were not permitted to apply for business grants, even though we are businesses. So we need you to consider the nonprofits that are out there. If you've got a stimulus check and you don't need it, it's not absolutely a need in your family, maybe you could give to some nonprofits, especially look for the smaller ones in your community who are holding up that bottom rung.
That is, well, thank you for sharing that, number one. And hey, my audio works, so that's even more amazing. Woohoo! We're doing amazing things now. We have audio. So, hi, how you doing? That was great. I mean, it is interesting because I have read over the CARES Act, and I swore that they covered nonprofits. So to hear that not able to do it, but big, bulky, as I said at the top of the hour, bulky companies with millions in the bank are able to get loans for what they're doing. Hopefully not construction, but that's what we're actually hearing a lot of these locations are doing. That's interesting about nonprofits. So, I mean, when we're talking about
not
nonprofits,
to say that nonprofits couldn't get the CARES, but they had to have a certain number of paid employees, and many nonprofits, especially survivor-led, I have actually been foregoing a salary to serve more women. So therefore, the EIDL grant did not apply to me, and PPP did not apply to me. And there are a lot of nonprofits in our area that do that. Food banks. There is a nonprofit that's veteran-run. She runs a thrift store and gives $10,000 a month to veterans. She is not able to get any part of the CARES Act. So.
See, that's mind-blowing to me, truly, that, the CARES Act doesn't apply. Obviously, if people know a honest run nonprofit, you guys don't generally take a salary. If you do, it's you're bare bones. You're bootstrapped at every level. I know startups love using the bootstrap term, but I do know it works for nonprofits like you who have a small, inspiring team. I mean, I follow you on social media. It's great watching you go rescue these women and their children and make them safe. It's great to watch. You should follow, Betty on social. When she does share these stories, it is absolutely very inspiring and second to none. So, Betty, how can folks find you online? How can they help you out? We got to jump to our next guest, but I want to be able for you to tell folks how they can help you out. This works nationwide, right? Expose Hope. I mean, it's not just here.
We can go into other states. We're also in Florida and Montana right now.
Awesome.
And so if someone's interested in doing what we do, we'd love to talk to them. We are available online at Expose Hope. That's XPOSEHOPE. There's no E in the beginning of our name. Expose Hope, like X-ratedindustry.com. We're also on all social media under that name. And you can currently find our latest fundraiser at GoFundMe. It's called Hope for Expose Hope. So we would love to have some donations. It would be great if we could hit 1,000 so that we can get $1,000 kicker from that company.
Awesome. That's terrific. I mean, I love what you're doing. I had to have you on. We're going to have you back on in a few weeks. We want to talk more about what you're doing and see where we're at, right? We're going to be probably into month number 2 of quarantine or shelter in place or whatever you want to call it. And would love to see how we can all help and get some people to make some donations for your great cause. It's so great what you're doing. And I know you're constantly in my prayers to power you through and get you through to help during these really tough times. So thank you again for coming on, and we'll chat with you really soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. So we're going to bring on the one and the only Frank Marino. He joined us. We're batting out of but okay to do because I'm not an umpire and live streaming. So you'll be fine. It's not network TV. No one's going to yell at us. So we're going to bring Frank on. I mean, he'll probably argue this because actually I've been on his show and we'll talk about it because I've seen what happens when the host actually calls you by the wrong name. It's entertaining. So he could probably tell these stories, but we're going to bring my buddy Frank on right now. Frank, where you at? Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Frank. I know it's not me this time. I fixed my audio. Can anybody hear Frank? We are just having audio everywhere today. I blame Facebook and social media for bad audio today. Still can't hear you. You might have to go back out and come back in, Frank, or I had to plug in. We're sophisticated around here. We know what we're doing. Oh, so we're not going to go to Frank. Nobody wants to watch Frank do that. You want to watch me. So we're back. Technical difficulties today, folks. We just got to roll with the punches and go. That's what we're doing here. We're rolling with the punches. Frank is also, you've probably, if you listen to the great Joe Piscopo, Joe has a radio show Monday through Friday. He's not probably, he is the best guy on radio. I know people argue with me and say other people's names. I'll go with Joe and his amazing team. Frank's part of that team. They are just a great group, and Joe's just entertaining. You go on there and you feel like you're part of the family, like you're going to sit down and have supper with them. Except for me, it's like 5:40 in the morning, and I'm in a closet talking to them. So I'm envious of that. But we'll have Frank back on, and we're going to talk about a couple of things, and then also jump in and kind of run with just a few fun stories. Kind of moving around, so play with the schedule today. Be flexible, be flexible. I see the chef is popping into the green room, setting up for his meal for later for us. It's like virtual, so kind of get excited. That's why we do this show now. If you're on the East Coast, you're getting ready for dinner. Well, kind of getting ready. No, you're not getting ready for dinner. At 2:23, if you're getting ready for dinner, you're not doing something right. So, and I love that I'm being... I love it when I get the enunciation sent to me. That's what you have Marines in bad English. So we'll see if we can. I'm going to bring Frank back in to see if we can hear him. Oh, their mic isn't connected. Oh, he's not connected. Oh, we're going to try. Here we go. We're going to try. Still can't hear you. Still can't hear Frank. This is torture.
That is, and I'm using.
Oh. Hey, we hear you.
I'm going to raise my volume a bit.
We hear you. Can you hear us?
How about give me a thumbs up if you hear me. All right. So now I can't hear you. I don't think.
It's technology.
I'm having issues. Yes, I am. I'm going to click the having issues button and see where that gets me.
Probably nowhere with
And
the rest of
it says everyone can see and hear you. Well, I wish I could say the same about you.
Yeah.
But you look great.
Thank you.
You look
great.
great. Yeah.
You know,
It's an opportunity for me to work on my lip reading skills. So if you enunciate very clearly, maybe I can make it out. No,
that reminds me. You can't hear me, but I will tell everybody that reminds me.
No, but I divined no.
I'm trying to unmute, mute, see if any of that works.
Some other settings here.
But hear you, so that's good. So everybody at home, we can. This is Frank.
So this is going to be a challenge. I got to say, this is going to be a challenge. Speakers. Let me try and.
It's fun though. We're enjoying this.
How about now? Anything now? No,
I mean, I still hear you.
For me,
you don't hear us.
Okay.
Anybody suggestions? We're basically now taking suggestions. No.
Is there a way to? Is there a way for me to do an audio and video test prior to actually joining you on To The Point?
I think so.
There is. All right.
It's in the email.
I'm not sure what you said, but I think that that would be something. Oh, Betty Campbell suggested that you type me questions, which I think is actually a great idea. Can you do that?
I can't. Somebody type my questions for me. I'm not near my keyboard. Who wants to volunteer to do that?
Shake your head if you can't do that in one direction or the other. No, you can't do that. Well,
Betty's going to do it. I'm going to ask the
Betty,
questions.
if you have questions, or if you want to transcribe questions that Eric is asking, I'll be happy to answer them.
There we go. We're going to do it. We're going to do it old-fashioned. Adapt and overcome. Rah!
It'll be like a translator, you know, when we're at the UN. You'll be our UN translator.
I'm never being invited back on any of those shows.
Great.
So ask Frank the first question. How are things doing in New York? That's our first question. That's what we want to talk to. Love talking to our guests from New York. You know, they are at the epicenter of the coronavirus.
How are things doing in New York? Things are going great. I just got one of those alerts on my mobile phone that we're about to have a major severe thunderstorm. And there's a severe thunderstorm warning, and everybody's all up in arms about it. So wind gusts are possible of 60 miles per hour. Then it goes flying debris. And this is my favorite. The mayor's office, which is actually very helpful when it comes to emergency alerts, they just put out this preparedness action. Exercise caution when walking, biking, or driving. Now, you got to meet the guy that says, all right, there's 60 miles per hour of wind. Let me go walk, bike, and drive. I always feel like these alerts aren't always for the intended audience, but things are going great. We're still ticking down in the number of coronavirus deaths, which we're all excited about, and the number of hospitalizations. But things are going well. I'm still going into the radio station every day except Saturday. But other than that, I'm quarantined largely. And I got to tell you, I loved it. I was just watching an episode of The Man in the High Castle, the Amazon show. I'm catching up on all sorts of great television programs, all sorts of great books, all sorts of great movies. The one detriment thus far is that my wife is also working from home. So it's not as easy to distract her about my office being a total mess. So usually when she goes to work, she'll forget about it. And then we'll come home, we'll have dinner, and I can kind of go for weeks, months, sometimes years without straightening up. But I have been unable to do that thus far.
So what have you been binge watching? That's my next question. We're doing this by typing. If you're joining in now, we're just
so I just watched. Thank you for the call, the question, Eric and Betty. I just watched an episode of, or actually, I'm in the midst of it right now. The Amazon show, "The Man in the High Castle," which takes place. It's in a parallel world where America lost World War II, and then I am watching with my wife the HBO original series Boardwalk Empire, which we're catching up on, which we really enjoy, with Steve Buscemi, which is terrific. And everyone's told me it's terrific. I just never got around to seeing it. And I was really glued to the season finale of last night's episode of Better Call Saul. So those are the three shows. And American Dad is back, which I'm excited about. I'm going to hopefully check out American Dad later. So Better Call Saul, American Dad, Man in the High Castle, Boardwalk Empire.
And have you
any recommendations that you have? I'd certainly be be amenable to.
Well, one of my questions is, did you watch the first 2 episodes of the Michael Jordan documentary? Surprise! I say that. There you go. I love the way we're doing.
I haven't watched the Michael Jordan documentary. I was thinking of watching it yesterday, but then it got kind of mixed reviews. So I'm not the most enthusiastic basketball fan in the world. So I really needed to have crossover appeal to non-basketball fans. So I'd be curious if you have a suggestion with you thought. Everyone says Ozark is great. That might be my next show after I finish The Man in the High Castle. I've heard nothing but great things about it.
I'll agree with Clem. Chef Clem put that in there, and that's absolutely.
Thank you, Clemenza. And I missed your interview, or I'm not sure if you've been on yet, Clemenza. But are you the son or a relative of the great Clem Caserta, the famous Clem Caserta from the great film Jimmy Whisper's Returns to Mulberry Street? That's great. I'm looking forward to seeing what recipes you have cooked up for us, and I'm looking forward to seeing your interview with Eric. Even more so, I'm looking forward to hearing it.
That would be good when you can finally hear
my own interview. I hope nobody else has cool backgrounds like Eric does. He's like he's in a professional studio. I kind of assumed, it's a little bit more relaxed environment while we're in quarantine. So I didn't even gel my hair.
That's okay. But what we're going to do is, if we could send a message to Frank, we're going to be moving on to our next guest.
We are cheated. We are cheated.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm a victim of poor grammar there in terms of understanding the actual intonation of what you meant there, Betty, but it is what it is.
But we still love you. So we're going to have Frank back on when we fix all the audio so we can go back and forth, because absolutely love talking to Frank. So.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to come back later in the show or anytime. I'm looking forward to watching the show. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to give you as much substance as you probably would have hoped. But you know what? When you look as good as you do, Eric, you don't need substance. You're all style.
I try, my friend. We'll have you back on as soon as you want.
Thank you for the opportunity. My apologies to the audience.
All good, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Boom. So that was the great Frank. And back on. Technical difficulties, they happen. We are going to bring on our next guest. We are desperately trying to stay on time. We're only 2 minutes off. So we are going to bring on our next guest. I wanted to jump in when we were talking about Chef Clem. He actually has an unnamed role in Great Destinations or Great Expectations destinations. Great Expectations with Robert De Niro and Ethan Hawke are the big names in that movie. He actually kills Robert De Niro in that movie. I know, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but pretty cool. You get to say in an acting role, you got to kill De Niro. Hey, that's pretty cool. So I know he jumped back out, but we're going to bring on our next guest. He is a great social media and media guy. You've seen him, here first, but you've seen his clients all over the place. They've appeared on Fox and Friends, Liquid Lunch, and several others. You've seen them everywhere. They're in publications all over the place, and he represents some of the biggest names in influencing out there that are on Twitter with hundreds of thousands, millions of followers. Michael Valor from Valor Media. Mike.
What's up, Eric? How's it going?
I'm just happy we can hear you and you can hear me. And
we got the media training. We're all down. We're ready. We're happy to be here.
Jesus. Dude, this is so difficult. How have you been?
Really good. Really good. I mean, inside, like most, as much inside as possible.
Oh, I got to ask you a question, and this is before we jump into the interview. So your wonderful sidekick, since you're a man at Valor Media, and Robin, I'll call him Robin. You're Robin. You're Scottie Pippen. There we go. We'll keep it in the. You're Scottie Pippen, the one and only Hans. Send me your profile picture for us to use for social media today.
I got the quarantine beard.
Okay, but you have but that photo we got is like you're like Jersey Boy, like you're like singing on Broadway, the red jacket, which I liked, by the way.
I am a Jersey boy. I reign from the great land of Jersey, for sure.
Oh, then you fit in with like most of the guests of the show. You're either from Jersey or Staten Island. You work well. It goes well with the theme. You do have the beard. I like it.
You like it?
You do look like you're going to join Al Qaeda, though, so you might want to trim that thing. But,
I'll trim it up a little bit.
Just a little bit. You're looking a little Bushman there, my friend. Let's jump into this. Here's my question for you, bud. you work with a lot of influencers, especially on social media, and everybody's on social right now. They've seen a record number of people using YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Obviously, Twitter is very popular, especially with our president. Right. How have you been dealing with all your clients and keeping them from their normal going out, being on the beach or out with their clients and doing everything? They're stuck inside, but they're still influencers. How have you been dealing with all that?
I mean, it's an interesting situation when you look at it just for like every single industry. Specifically, we have like 85 restaurant clients. So restaurants have seen like the absolute weirdest dynamic period. But really what it comes down to is you're seeing a transfer that we had predicted decades ago, right? Like as I grew up, and I'm 25, right? So the young age of 25, I got to grow up and see social media come out, right? So it was MySpace. We even had AIM Instant Messenger into Facebook, into Instagram. And you see that the reigning dominance is going to continue for social media as we move into a digital society. So it's imperative for every business to have a social media presence. And even in a weird time, the biggest objective right now is to just be producing some sort of content. You know, I mean, just to use for an example, Trevor Noah, right, in The Daily Show. These guys are out of the studio, but like they're on Snapchat. I see them every single day. I see them producing. They're producing content that is at least staying relevant with an audience.
That's awesome. I mean, it's a struggle for a lot of them, right? Because they're used to being out there. See, you talk about Snapchat, and I swore 8 weeks ago when this started, I would not touch TikTok. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to touch the talk. Yeah. And then I found TikTok, and you talk about Trevor Noah and The Rock and Kevin Hart. I already love those two on Instagram. Like if I need entertainment, Kevin Hart and The Rock are the guys I go to be entertained. And was it Trevor Wallace on Facebook makes them, and You Betcha, those guys. Yeah. And then I found TikTok, and oh my God, it's like going down a rabbit hole. Dude, it's bad. It's like you just fall in love. You're like, I love this. And you just sit there. And then we had it was one of my kids' birthdays. He's my stepson. He's just turned 23 Friday. And he was over, and him and his girlfriend, and we were talking about TikTok. And she's like, yeah, I had a whole bunch of plans today. And then, well, I started on TikTok, and 2 hours later,
scrolling.
It's addicting.
With arthritis, just in our index fingers and our thumbs. That's it.
And it's good, though. I mean, it's good content. If you are watching and you haven't checked out TikTok, number one, it's not just for young people. Yeah. And two, which I really hate it when people say that. I agree with Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, it's for older people. It's not for older. Facebook's for older people. Well, then why do I keep seeing everybody on Facebook?
There's a complete change in dynamic. It's the same thing they said about Twitter when we were all in middle school and we were on Twitter tweeting our friends in class. And then everyone's like, Twitter's not that type of thing. It moves into one of the largest news networks, period, in the entire world, right? World leaders are tweeting at each other. So it's like you're going to see, like I said, that dynamic is going to consistently change over to a digital society. The more people that you see interact with a social media, the more they are going to just get enthralled with it. Whether because the dynamic is going to be constantly, first of all, you're in an addictive state, right? You're in an addictive state. Right now, we're social distancing. So you're seeing more people than ever feel like, oh, I'm by myself. Mental health issues come into play. How do I stay connected with my friends and family? Social media is just bigger than ever. It's getting larger. So the things they're saying about TikTok, it's just going to consistently change, just like they said for Facebook, just like they said for Twitter. And I think we're just moving into that dynamic no matter what.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I think a lot of people are struggling with it, right? They sit here and, they're like, well, I don't want to do stuff. And they have to. It entertains you, number one. It takes your mind off of all the, let's just face it, the craziness that is social media. Yeah. And just the day-to-day, right? You could be beat down. But I do want to let you know you made me feel really old when you said that you were on Twitter in middle school. So
I was on Twitter in middle school. I was.
Stop saying those things. I don't want to know that.
You're rocking Twitter in middle school.
I want to be like, dude, I always thought you were older, and now I'm like, he's 25, and he just said he was on Twitter in middle school. It's all good.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that people need to understand. We're on a scale of time, right? So like eventually I'm going to be 35. Eventually I'm going to be 45. You know what I'm saying? And I am the prime time user right now in the age of 25 to 35 demographic for millennial, right? And I'm using all these social channels that 55 plus are like, what is that? What are you guys doing? It's going to become the new norm. It has to, because we are getting older. You know what I mean? Yeah. The people using TikTok right now who are 14 are going to be 24 in 10 years. And if you're in business or you're an influencer or you're a celebrity, it doesn't matter. Whatever audience you're looking for, they're going to be in that dynamic. So people always like businesses, even huge ones, are like, well, my audience, my demographic isn't on TikTok, or it isn't on Snapchat, or it isn't even on Instagram. They were saying that 5 years ago. Now everyone wants Instagram. You see what I'm saying? It's like your demographic, dig the well before you're thirsty. They're going to be on there eventually. And as long as you want your business to last decades and you want your audience to last decades, understand that they age too, and that's where they are.
I love that you went with that. That is absolutely the correct way to think about it, right? I mean, I know a lot of people. I mean, I remember in industry for years, people were like, millennials aren't on Facebook. And I'm like, well, yeah, they are, because I know a lot of, I mean, that's also like saying every millennial is like crappy and doesn't work hard. I happen to know you and your team personally. And I think you can outshine most people in my generation with your work ethic and grind. So I love it. And I mean, and it goes good. I mean, we work together. I mean, we do a lot of stuff, you know, people, I mean, you're one of the guys I throw anybody to because you're an expert in what you do, and you guys work harder and you deliver. And I think that's the difference where you're doing that. So that's why I want to have you on. I do want to have you back on so we can kind of deep dive in. If we could do this almost weekly, it would be great to kind of give folks some insight. We could get some questions talking about social. I want to check to make sure there's no messages asking any. There we go. Okay. It was Hans telling us we're awesome. So yay. I like it. But we do want to have you back on. Well, we'll wait for Chef. He's not ready, so we'll continue talking. But you know, so for, you know, coronavirus, right? You're working with folks. I know you work with like Dr. John Jaquish, who has a great product that athletes are using. And I know that you were telling me that John is really here to like his tool, like he's really had to pivot, right? Where he's so used to like, I want to go do this. Well, he can't go see his athletes. So he's basically coaching and sending this product out to these pros so they could stay in shape. What was amazing is what you told me, and you could tell the folks, his product. So you guys work with like the Miami Heat and those kind of crazy teams with using this product.
Train with those guys, and it comes back to social. A lot of businesses are finding right now that you have to be creative to pivot with your product offering to still reach a customer base. This is an interesting time for businesses because your customers are now locked. They're at home. You know where they are. There's no longer a moving market. Right. So during this time, how can we offer home-based products, which John Jaquish, one of my clients, is just crushing? I mean, he had been prepared for that long before. Right. The home gym space was fading out. How do I come up with an invention that takes people to the next level in physical fitness in their own home in a fraction of the time? Right. We want the companies that are winning right now have the best user interfaces. If you have a good user interface, that's what's going to win. You want ease of use for your customers. You want to offer something that makes their life simpler and faster consistently. And the reason why we got all those great opportunities is because of social media. A lot of businesses will tell you that they don't need social, their customers aren't on social, or we are doing social media because they throw up a post every now and then and they have 100 followers. The thing about it is you back in the day in the 80s, let's talk about, okay, this is before my time. I'm going to talk about like American Psycho, right? There's a scene where they're like identifying business cards. Like the differentiation of business cards was so huge in their character and like who they were. Right? It's like you want to dress up like a certain kind of way that people can present to you in a good fashion. Like if you're going to an interview or if you got a new client potentially, right? Or if you're a restaurant, you want your establishment to look amazing, right? And so why not social media be the same, right? It's a social proof thing. When you log on and you see a profile that has amazing content and tons of followers and a lot of active engagement, are those people direct ROI? Maybe, maybe not, depending on your CTAs and funnels. But at the end of the day, that social proof is turning people into customers because you're a thought leader in the space opposed to someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? Oh,
I do. And now we have to bring you back so we can go deeper into that. Definitely want to have you back on. If you can come back on next week, or we'll chat offline. I know that we have a chef waiting and he's cooking something, so I have to I don't want to miss this good meal because you know it's going to be good.
That's the way to a man's heart, is
right? Like food. I mean, come on. Like now I'm envious. I can't wait to have a studio so I can have a chef actually cook in the studio, so I get to eat it, because now I'm going to be like, this is my peanut butter and jelly sandwich is not going to be the same as what chefs make.
I didn't realize how bad I was at cooking until this time.
Oh, dude. Thank God for my Traeger.
I need classes. Let's bring on the chef.
Awesome. So tell everybody how to get a hold of you. I do have it below the Valor, we'll do the Ohio State thing, the valormedia.com. That's Michael Valor right there. He has an amazing team. Go check him out. If you need help with anything social, you're building your brand, you're a chef, you're a celebrity, you're an influencer. This guy works with everybody. I mean, some of the biggest YouTube influencers out there. Trust me, we're not name dropping, but he works with them. So you want to go check him out. We'll have him on next Tuesday. We're gonna have we'll have our social media corner be our guy, as long as he agrees to that. I just dropped that on him right now.
I'm gonna pin me on everybody. I got you, Eric.
Hey, we'll have you on soon, and thanks again for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your week, bud.
Thanks.
So we're gonna get to our final guest. People think we're crazy. We're gonna cook on our show today. We are. Damn it, we're gonna do this. Our next guest, you've maybe have seen him yelled at by an angry blonde-haired man from England. He was on season 10 of Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen. And you, like I said earlier, he had an unaccredited role in a movie where he got to kill Robert De Niro. So that's pretty cool. I always want to kill, everybody wants to go kill a guy that was in Goodfellas, right? But we're going to bring on Chef Clemenza is next to the show. Here we go. Chef.
How you doing?
I'm doing damn good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, man. You know, it's just getting a little crazy. Like you said earlier, man, I was watching one of the other shows. Like, I have no idea what day it is anymore, how many days we're locked in. It could be Tuesday, Friday. It doesn't matter, man. You know, but at least we're all still healthy and we're still here and we're able to do this. So that's a good positive thing.
Absolutely. Now, I am envious of you because you are a professional chef and you know how to cook. So you're at home. So this probably, you're probably like, dude, I really hate cooking all the time, or you love it. I know I hear from my wife, who's a damn good cook. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that she's bad, but she's like, I'm sick of cooking. So I want to ask you, and then we'll jump into like your background and some other things. But do you actually enjoy cooking for yourself all the time? I
love it, but after 30-something days of cooking every day, I'm ordering freaking pizza tonight. I mean, I'm just not doing it. I'm done. I'm going to eat a little bit of this. That's why I wanted to do something healthy. I mean, I could have came on and did some lasagna, baked ziti, marsala, anything Italian, risotto. But I figured, you know what? Let me do something a little healthier, and I'll get to what that's going to be in a little bit. But I'm going to do something a little bit healthier, a little bit out of my wheelhouse, and something that I used to do a while ago, and it's going to be a nice, great, healthy alternative. Because look, we're stuck in. We're eating every day. I mean, everybody's talking. You go on Facebook, Instagram, your sister's gram, whatever it is, Facebook. Yeah, all these, and all you see is people constantly, which is great, posting pictures of food and everybody's cooking, but everybody's gaining weight. Everybody's saying this, oh my God, I gained 5 pounds, I gained 10 pounds, I gained 20 pounds. Having said that, that's why I'm going to do this kind of little lighter kind of meal. I know me, I made eggplant parmesan this week. I made a lasagna a couple of days ago. I mean, now I'm just like, all right, we got to start going a little bit healthy.
Well, now everybody's coming over to your house now. If you're making all these amazing meals, you said baked ziti, so you had me there. So I'm heading over. I'll be over. It's a long drive from where I'm at over here on the West Coast, but I'll be there in a couple days. So baked ziti would be good.
I'll throw a piece in the freezer for you.
I'm bringing my family too. They need it too. So one quick question, just completely side note: best pizza in New York?
See, I'm so glad you asked me that, but I hate when people ask me that because it's a loaded question. Now, there's a couple of shows, and I don't want to rag on them. Very famous show. People go around tasting pizza, and I'm sorry. New York pizza is absolutely the best in the country, no doubt. There's just no doubt. Jersey, too. Believe it or not, I don't rag on Jersey that much, but you get some great pizza in Jersey. Anywhere else is just not the same. It's just not. I'm sure you can get great. I actually had great pizza in Florida, so I'm not going to rag every state. But the thing is this. There's 3 components to pizza. It's very simple. Sauce, dough, and mozzarella. That's it. Those are your 3 basic main ingredients. So you say to yourself, how bad can you possibly mess that up? And I've just eaten some horrible, horrible pizzas, and there's got to be, the ratio's got to be right. It's got to be all about the dough. It's got to be about the crust. It's got to be nice, paper thin, crunchy. You got to be able to hold the slice. It's got to be able to stand up, straighten up, flop down. You got to have that little bit of grease on it, the right amount of sauce, the right amount of cheese. Now, having said that, Staten Island, I'll give you 2 of my favorite places. One is called Dough by La Castery. God rest his soul, Steve just passed away about 8 months ago, but by far the best square pizza you will ever eat in your life. The crust is just ridiculous. And you got Round Pie and Joe and Pat's out here that are really good when they're on. Because I've gone there and I've gotten mediocre pizza. When those two places are on, you're going to get some of the best. Now, I just recently had Lions and Tigers and Squares in Manhattan. Hence Detroit pizza. They're coming out of Detroit, so they did Lions and Tigers and Squares, Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers, blah, 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 blah. Great square pizza. You know, for me, it's just simplistic. Everybody puts too much cheese and too much mozzarella, and it's all white, and they think the better, more cheese, the better. And no, that's not at all the case, man. You want to taste the sauce, you want to taste it. I can go on forever with it, so I'm just going to stop and end it here. But most pizzerias make that fatal mistake. They put on way too much cheese, and it drives me insane.
I love it. I'm glad that we're recording this. I'm going to go through and listen to that. Now, our place has always been, we like to go to Soho. My little brother lives in Soho, so we go to Joe's. We've also been to the first ever, and I feel awful, I can't remember the name of it. There's the first ever pizza place ever in New York. Is Little Italy. Yeah, we've been there. That has the original oven in the back.
You got Sal's, you got John. John's is another great pizzeria. John's is really good. The Tones. You know, there's a lot of great pizzerias.
Look it up while you're cooking, and I'll tell you because I have it in my phone. But we went there. It was like the first ever. It has, of course, every good pizza place has all the famous people who've ever eaten there. But they had the original oven from like the 1800s in there. So
wow, yeah. See, that's the thing too. People, I'll tell you a quick little story that somebody made the biggest mistake in their life. Guy bought a pizzeria, and there was the old square cast iron pans. And he's like, I want to sell these. They're old. They're disgusting. They're dirty. Blah, 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 blah. A matter of fact, take them if you want them. Matt, biggest mistake you can ever make. Those black pans, the older they get, the better they are, the better the pizza you're going to get. Once you buy a new pan, it's going to take a couple of years to finally break that in and get that seasoned, man. But, you know, I got lucky and I bought about 20 of them.
Awesome. So let's jump in. We're going to talk, but we're going to get you cooking just because I want to make sure we're respecting your time. So kind of tell the folks what you're making, and I'm looking up what pizza place I went to.
I'm going to flip my screen around while I talk, and I'm going to show you everything because I'm kind of doing it one-handed. I do have a tripod, but I'm in a real small kitchen right now. There's kind of nowhere to stick it. So here we go.
Sweet. Oh, that's me. Oh, we got disconnected. I'm not chef. I'm not cooking. Trust me, you do not want me cooking any of your meals ever in your life. You would be like, dude, Eric, please don't make food for me. So chef will join us momentarily. You know, this is part of technology, or it fell into the sauce. Hopefully everything's okay. I know they're having a hell of a storm there. I'm getting texts by several of my friends in here. Today's the episode. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen today. We have decided that no matter what, we are bound to have every technical difficulty we can have. They'll be coming right back on. Not worried about this happens. So it's just today. So it's all good. Adapt and overcome. Remember, I say that on the show quite often. So far, great show, right? I mean, if you have questions, concerns, you want to throw them our way, please put them in the questions. We would love to hear what you're doing. Just an amazing, just great guests. Always having fun doing this. We love doing this show. We'll deal with the technical difficulties. Chef's coming back on. I see him popping back into our green room, so he'll be back on in a second. We are going to go a little over, just so anybody knows. We're running a little behind. So I'm going to give us about 5 minutes, 10 minutes over the segment, just so we get everything done. I want to see what Chef's making. It's almost my lunch, so I'm getting hungry. So I'm going to see what I know what he's making, but he's coming on here in a second. So just bear with us while we go through this. I'll sing, I'll dance. You probably don't want me to do either. But we're doing that. Hey, but I found out where it was. Oh, he's gone again. So anybody, where I was talking about was Lombardi Pizza. That is in Little Italy. It is one of the originals. Lombardi's. It's the best. So that's where we were. And that's what we did. I was with my little brother, which is funny. The last time I was in New York, that's where we were. So that's it's crazy how long ago that was. And it wasn't that long ago. We used to go to New York once a month. And now because of coronavirus, we haven't. So let us get through this technical difficulty. I promise you we'll be back here shortly. I'm telling you, if it rains, it pours on the show today. It's just we got a lot going on. So yeah, Lombardi's Pizza is the original. It's America's first pizzeria. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's on 200. It's on 298th Ave and 32nd Spring Street in beautiful New York, New York. It is great. And actually, Michael Valor, you actually follow them too. So funny. I think you ate there when you were in New York the last time for media. So on Friday, pretty awesome. I'm really excited about this. I know I said that Friday was going to be Female Founders Friday, and it is. We do have a couple amazing guests. But who here was a fan of The Sopranos? I'll raise my hand because you guys can't. I can't see you, but I'll raise my hand and believe that most of you did. So if you've never watched The Sopranos, well, you're wrong, and you should go on HBO and do that because it's free right now. That series happens to be free. We have a soprano coming on the show on Friday. That's right. One of the amazing actors from The Sopranos is coming on, and oh my God, see all these Italian names. You got an Irish kid trying to say Italian names. This just isn't going to work. Hey, it's going to be bad. But oh, wow, I'm going to try this name. Make fun of me later. It could become a meme. Joe Scully. Joe Gunna Scully. There we go. He played Vito. Holy crap, Spetafori. I murdered that word too. That's right. Played Vito in The Sopranos. We're going to have him on the show, and we're going to talk about what he's been up to, probably catch up on The Sopranos. I know Frank Marino, who was on earlier, we were going to talk about it. He just interviewed Christopher, guy who played Christopher, Michael Imperioli, on Sunday on his radio show. So it's kind of a Sopranos theme. Gotta love The Sopranos. Just one of the best shows ever. I could watch that show at all times. You hear that music. Right now, I hear the music kind of in my head. It goes with the voices. So it's kind of cool. You got the voices and the Sopranos theme. But yeah, well, we're seeing if we get Chef back on. I'm watching and talking and watching and talking. So we will have a soprano on. Tomorrow, we have a great show coming up for you. We have Dr. Jeff McGee is going to come on. He works a lot with our military and talking about military intelligence. We're going to have, it's kind of, I know Thursdays are for our vets, but you know me, I put them on whenever I want. We have the Marine rapper. He's coming on. He's got a great edition of the Star Spangled Banner, a combat veteran for the United States Marine Corps. Goes by the stage name, the Marine Rapper. Go check him out. He is on Apple Music. Fabulous music. Talks about what it's like. We're going to discuss what he did in the Corps and then what he's been doing out of the Corps. He actually owns an amazing record label, and that's what he's going to be on. We're going to bring back my good buddy, Matt Kuchera, Vet Pivot. He'll be on basically co-hosting with me tomorrow. And then Jennifer Cuevas will be on with us. You've seen her. She's the co-host on Liquid Lunch on Thursdays. She'll be joining us tomorrow, talk about what she's been up to. She's actually working. She lives in New York, and will also be telling us what's going on there. She works in the social services side of the house. So we'll get an interesting take on what's going on there. And of course, we'll have all the breaking news that happens. So you'll be kept up to date. We're going to give Chef a couple more minutes here to join us. If you have any questions, please fire them in. We'd love to have them in. I'm going to read the snide comments. There we go. Watching The Sopranos. You have to watch The Sopranos. I tell people this all the time. You're here, but we can't have, you're gone again. He's here, he's gone, he's here, he's gone. This is just technical difficulty day. So you get me a lot. You just get to sit here and listen to me, stare at the camera, and just talk. What do you guys want to talk about? Give me a subject and we'll talk about it. We can talk about the Houston Astros. Let's not forget that they cheated. I think it's funny that we've, the coronavirus basically has protected them. We didn't get we should be a month into like booing them and watching them get beamed with baseballs and brawls and all the things that we were looking forward to. We were owed this. The baseball gods owed us this because of how bad they cheated and then how cocky they were about, that's what we should have done, but we're not doing that. So that's what we're at. So we're waiting. Chef's going to log back in. So we have, the Houston Astros. Thoughts on the Astros? Anybody have an Astros thought? I'm still amazed by this J-Lo and A-Rod jump in that they are going to be buying a team. How many? That's a great question. So Amy messaged us in Facebook and said, how many Astros get hit in the first game? Oh, When that game comes back, I mean, if spring training was anything of a hint, I can tell you, you probably have 3 or 4 beanballs. Pitchers are going to get thrown out of games. I know the commissioner said that if you intentionally throw at somebody, suspensions will come. And then people said, oh, you'll get suspended for that, but cheating, you're cool. So it's going to be a fine line. I know baseball really wants to return. They do have an extremely long season, so I can only imagine what this is costing them. So really, I want to see what they're ready to do. Chef, if you're ready, just let me know when your camera goes back on. I cannot see you. It says your device is not connected, Chef. I can see that you're in the green room, but it says your device isn't connected to this. So I don't know. I really feel bad because you were cooking a great meal and then we had technical difficulties. Probably the storm that's moving through the central New Jersey area right now, which probably means it'll hit New York. So I'm going to blame it. We'll blame it on the storm or coronavirus. Either or. It's fine. It's New York. I mean, we can blame almost all of that on there. Yeah, when talking about the Astros, I just think it's funny. Like Major League Baseball has been hell-bent on almost protecting them, and the players were not happy. Coronavirus really shut that down. So it'll be interesting. I do hope for a baseball season, and I believe that we'll get a baseball season. We will get an NFL football season. My gut tells me there won't be an NBA season. I know Adam Silver would love to have an NBA season. I just don't see it happening. I mean, you got to think about it. They wouldn't start. What they're predicting to start is in July, have the NBA finals in October. Well, our friends in the NFL and our friends at Major League Baseball, they're not going to be big fans of people playing in their areas. Now, everything's going to probably move a little bit. So October traditionally is when the World Series starts and the playoffs for Major League Baseball. And then NBA basketball usually starts again very late into October. And of course, the NFL is in the middle of their season in October. There's going to be a lot of teams fighting for airtime. So I think some of these teams are really going to have to follow this new plan. The NBA ultimately has always wanted to have their season start around Christmas. Their ratings are amazing. They're literally left alone. They only have to compete truly with the NFL in these college football games that people don't watch, these no-name bowls with teams that just make it in there. So that's one thing that it'll be interesting to see if they move these seasons and go that way. So I'm just checking with my team. So here we go. So we're going to get a phone restart, and then we should be able to continue this segment. If not, we're going to pull the plug on it and reschedule him, and we can bring him back on. That's what we do. We adapt. We overcome. We improvise. So it's that's where we're at with that. So yeah, that was my thoughts on baseball. Anybody else got any comments, concerns? I'm here for Q&A. I love it. So Amy said she lives in Nevada and drove the minor league parks there. We did the same thing. We live by, we have the Hillsborough Hops, and we were out and about. We went for a drive. We wore masks, and don't worry, we didn't roll our window down, but we sometimes go for drives. It's good to get out, and we went by where the Hillsborough Hops play. They are a minor league. They don't even play a full season. Amazing folks that played there. Cool little location. It's fun to do here in the summers here in Oregon. So we do have a sport. I mean, we do have the Portland Timbers and the Thorns during the summer, but we also have our Hillsborough Hops, and I love supporting those teams. Big shout out to the Portland Pickles. They are also a minor league team that is in Portland. So, if we get the opportunity to have baseball, really go out and support your minor league teams, support those vendors that are out there. I'm encouraging people to do that. When we do get pro sports back and you are able to go to these things, you really want to be able to support these folks, those folks that are up there that are just depending on this for their income. So it's important. And minor league baseball players, I believe, are making $400 a week right now until the end of May. That's not a lot of money for very many people. So I guess they all qualified for the $1,200 stimulus. So hopefully that helped them. I'm going to make the call right now, and I think we're just going to finish the show. So I'm going to go on. We're going to talk about tomorrow's show and put a wrap on this, just because we're having a lot of technical difficulties. And I don't want to keep you guys watching for just technical difficulties. That just isn't going to work for me. We're going to give him one opportunity if it comes back. I see him pop back up. We're going to see. We're going to see what happens here. See, this is technology failing me. Now, if you're watching and you can get a message to the man, and I'll send him a message, or Butch can send him a message, have him film it and we'll put it in post. If he films what he's doing, just tell him to hit record and talk like he's doing it, and tell him we'll have him back on and we'll talk about it whenever he wants to come back on. He always has an open spot to cook on our show. We'll work on this. I knew this was a big risk with trying to do live cooking on our show, so we'll do that, and we will bring him back. If he could just record his meal, that'll be great, and then we'll show it to you guys in post-production when we put this out in our YouTube channels. Each segment, I'll chop it up and throw it in there for you guys to watch. We'll just put it in our Facebook too, so you can check it out and put it on the gram, and we're all on there. So speaking of which, we finally are all over social media. You can find us on Instagram at To The Point TV. That goes for Twitter, To The Point TV, and on Facebook, To The Point TV. Please follow us, go to our YouTube page. If you ever wanted to be one of the first ever subscribers to a YouTube page, perfect opportunity. Come join the show there. We need more subscribers. We really want to hit 100 so we can customize some stuff. We're a long way from 100. So if you're watching, share with a friend. We'd love it. Tomorrow's guest, so we'll put a bow on this and call it done. Tomorrow's guest, we have Jennifer Cuevas joining us. We have Matt Kuchera, the host of Vet Pivot, coming on, talk more about veterans. We have the Marine rapper, amazing musical artist, going to come on and talk about what he did in the Marine Corps and how he's become a successful entrepreneur and leading the way. He's out of, I believe he's in San Diego. Shocking, Marines from San Diego. He'll be on. He's been featured on a few things. Go check out his music. Seriously, it's really good. I work out to actually one of his songs. It's really aggressive. I really love it. He's got some good stuff. So go check him out. The Marine Rapper. He is on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and then finally, then we'll have Dr. Jeff McGee on. So Dr. Jeff McGee will be on, and then we'll have all breaking news. So again, folks, I apologize for all the technical difficulties we had today. We are still 6 episodes in, so we're going to have it. So that's what we're doing. But we rock and rolled. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions for any of our guests, please leave them in the comments. If you're watching this on the tube, on YouTube, please leave them in the comments, and I'll make sure that the guests come back and answer them for you. And yes, so we'll see you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart. God bless America. I didn't time that right, did I? Huh? See? Anyways, guys, be safe, be strong, be smart, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.